Angeline, and we will discuss to you, and at the same time you have to learn what is the nature and role of visitor attraction. We are all here a tourism students, and I know we love to travel all around the world. So we have to know what is visitor attraction product and how it has been developed all over the time, because this lesson or topic will give us insight what is the role of visitor attraction as the major components of tourism system. And this chapter will help us tourism students to maintain or how to maintain specific cultural identities and practices, because this chapter attempts to clarify what is the role and nature of visitor attraction product and the context within which they operate. Before we start this lesson, let me tell you what are the aims of this discussion. So first, it will introduce the variety and scope of visitor attraction. Second, it will discuss the basis for definition and categories of visitor attraction. And lastly, the third, it will identify the range of roles that visitor attraction in international, national, regional, and local environments. Visitor attraction. There cannot be doubting crucial role that the visitor attractions have in the development and success for tourism destination. But the visitor attractions at their most basic level, they work to attract visitors to an area, while many also operates in as much broader sense as agent for change, social enablers, and major income generator. Like Boniface and Cooper states, attractions are the raison d'etre for tourism, as they generate the visit, give rise to exertion circuit, and create an industry of their own.
Let us tackle on the variety and scope of visitor attractions. There are two things that are being highlighted in this lesson: the categorization and classification of visitor attractions. According to Cooper, Holloway, and Smith, there have been many attempts to explain the forms of visitor attractions on how they present themselves, with classification generally being on the basis of the natural or built character of the resource. Let's take a look at Figure 1.1. This outlines the various approaches that could be considered in the classification of this dynamic sector of the tourism industry. And at its center is the core product offered by the visitor attraction, which focuses mainly on the resource that attracts the visitor to visit in the first instance. The increasing need to generate alternative revenue streams has led to the expansion of the core activities in many new and existing attractions. Some others are investing in conference rooms for hire, while some have various off-site activities to boost income. The use of technology to enhance the presentation of the resource is currently a popular approach, with the development of hands-on interactive exhibits, virtual reality shows, and the development of augmented reality systems, such as those in ArcheoGuide system in place at Olympia, Greece, according to Buhalis in 2006. While these developments may cater for specific markets, often children, they are costly both to install and to maintain, and they may serve to exclude other markets that are not impressed with or predisposed to use this style of presentation. New trends in visitor attraction products have shown innovative uses of existing resources, which are developed into products accessible to visitors. For example, the use of forests in the UK for Go Ape. It is a high rope adventure courses that offer the visitor the opportunity to access the tree canopy, which is 60 feet up. As stated by Miller, the next stage of classification usually focuses on the nature of the resource itself, may it be natural or built, as seen in Figure 1.1. The main reason for this categorization result from the different approaches required for their management, with natural sites requiring fewer staff, incurring lower fixed costs, and having a more open attitude towards access than in the case of built properties. This is not to say that natural sites require no management, but that the objectives of site management often focus on conservation issues and the management of visitors, rather than increasing visitor spend and entertainment. The other main approach to classification often centers on the pricing policy for access to visitor attraction. That is, whether it is paid admission, free access, or a combination in the form of free access to some areas, with a charge levied for temporary exhibits or specific areas or events. This is reflected in Figure 1.1 as well, together with the previous category. While government policy on this varies internationally, there is usually some provision for key national sites to offer free access to visitors on either a permanent or a specific day basis. This often overcomes the perception of local residents that the attractions are purely there for use by tourists and meets the broader educational and social inclusion aims of many institutions. The ownership category and differing objectives of the visitor attractions will naturally impact on the management and operations of each site. Figure 1.1 separates these into private, public, charity, and voluntary or trust categories. While the last two categories may seem similar, there is a distinction to be made here between large-scale operators. The final point shown in Figure 1.1 is that the operating environment for visitor attractions will vary depending on the market or markets in which it exists. Some may cater mainly for the local market and require facilities that allow this. For example, flexible use of space to allow community use, while others may cater more significantly for the international market, acting as key flagship attractions within a destination. The target market for an attraction may well determine the nature and management of product offering, particularly in terms of pricing, visitor spend, and interpretation. One evident implication of the market within which an attraction operates is the potential pool of visitors that might be attracted. Very few visitor attractions attract large number of visitors on an annual basis, while most, particularly in rural areas, rely on much smaller visitor throughput. The different ways of classifying visitor attractions suggested in Figure 1.1 are not exhaustive, but serve to indicate the main features of classification used in various settings. According to Stevens, attraction designers will innovate to create a new generation of all-inclusive, multifaceted destination attractions capable of year-round operation, appealing to different markets and providing sound returns on large-scale investments.
Hello, I am Mary. Today we will be talking about the topic defining visitor attraction. How do you define a visitor attraction? Well, visitor attractions around the world are often typified by a very large number of small, geographically fragmented, resource poor members trying to meet a multitude of objectives of a diverse range of owners. Although agreement of definitions can sometimes cause unnecessary delay in a research study, a universal definition of attraction is considered desirable in order to record, map, and monitor attractions of information and statistical purposes, which is according to ATC 2024. This having been said, Once a definition is set and used for certain purposes, for example, annual visitor surveys, it is considered inadvisable to change it because doing so would compromise the comparability of results over time. According to British Britain 2006 and 13, visitor attraction is an attraction where it is feasible to charge admission for the sole purpose of sightseeing. Changing leisure patterns and product development have meant that the using of Visit Britain definition has brought into question. There are a number of weaknesses, both domestically and internationally, in using the Visit Britain definition of research purposes. According to Stevens 2000, the Visit Britain definition doesn't cater for these developments. The main reason for developing a definition is to allow national and international comparison between attractions and between comparable periods of performance. But within a new generation of destination attractions emerging wherein consumers are offered a comprehensive range of services and facilities for entertainment, shopping, eating and drinking, and other aspects of leisure. For example, attraction for sightseeing purposes should be possible but not compulsory. To charge an admission fee for access would exclude many monuments and historic battlefields. One part of definition that Visit Britain proposes relates to without prior booking. Though no change has been implemented in this regard as yet, nowadays attractions are accepting prior booking or reservations. To sum up, authors were invented to determine their own definitions and definitional parameters of defining visitor attractions within the generally accepted categories as discussed. With a universal definition, a visitor attraction is a place of interest for different tourists visit, typically for its inherent or an exhibited natural or cultural value, historical significance, natural or built beauty, offering leisure and amusement. So, this is the end of our topic about defining visitor attractions, and I hope you have learned something.
Hi, my name is Princess and we will be talking about researching visitor attractions. So one of the challenges in researching visitor attractions is the lack of available data and material on which to base a project. So much of the data available to operators is sourced via voluntary self-completion questionnaires and consultancy reports that often rely on a very small sample size, while the academic research will focus specifically on one issues of interest or locality. So this results is a limited pool of data for attractions, operators, and decision makers to assess, with serious questions being raised with regard to the reliability and comparability of the results. So according to Annalise and Fayal, the very appeal of many attractions, their individuality or distinguishing features results in issues of comparability, not at least defining and allocating them to categories of classifications. Where studies do exist on an annual basis, usually when commissioned by National Tourism Organization, these tend to be the volume and value-based, with a little investigation of factors that operators would like to know more about. For example, is the motivation for visits and non-visitors. So these circumstances make it even more important that further research activity is directed towards this vital sector of tourism activity to allow full recognition of the role of visitors' attractions and their development opportunities.
Hi, I'm Kirsty. We will be talking about the purpose and the role of visitor attractions. According to Swarbrook, visitor attractions are at the heart of the tourism industry. They are motivators that make people want to take a trip on the first place. The role of visitor attractions within a destination forms only one part of a complex network of tourism service providers within the broader tourism product. However, they are often used as a key products in marketing activities. Example of these are use of images of iconic sites such as Uluru when marketing Australia, or those of British Airways' London Eye in publications promoting England. The main interrelationships and interdependencies between visitor attractions and the wider tourism industry appears of focus in standard areas of mutual benefit. With an increasing move to develop more formal partnerships and collaborations being seen in recent years. The value of specific visitor attractions within a destination is that they can also be a key motivator in attracting business to the destination. Therefore, the quality and success of these interrelationships depends not only on the visitor attraction itself, but also on its contribution to the development of the critical mass of the destination product offerings. Visitor attractions may also play a crucial role in the revitalization of an area of destination. One example of this is being in Guggenheim in Bilbao. The creativity when shown in the nature of architecture of a building to house a key development may itself elevate the role of attractions to flagship proportions. In considering the role of the visitor attractions within a destination, it is important to consider not just the views of visitors and how they might be attracted and catered for. The needs of the local population must also be met and may indeed play a more significant role in the success of an attraction, particularly in rural settings, where their support for repeat visits, staffing, recommendation, and participation may be vital. Multiplicity of stakeholders involved in operation and use of visitor attractions can create difficulties in identifying the future practices of development. Objectives may include revenue generation, enterprise conservation, cultural issues, or simply entertainment. It is unlikely that any one attraction can be compared directly to another in terms of the role and purpose within a setting, as this will vary considerably between destinations.
To sum up everything, let me give you the summary or the conclusions of the discussion earlier. So there is no doubt that the international visitor attraction sector is facing challenging ahead of time. The uncertainties over the continued growth of tourism movements in light of the terrorist activity, challenging patterns of leisure time and use, the current oversupplies of the visitor attractions in some regions, and the potential product development in the field of technology in particular, all create the need for the new approaches to be developed in the way the visitor attractions are managed. So the multiple objectives of the visitor attractions need to be classified in order to determine the nature, the role, and the resultant success of sites, but also to invite the innovation and change. Meanwhile, the wide range of stakeholder intersects relating to an attraction, be they related to education, revenue generation, or conservation, will inevitably lead to conflicting the management pressures. The purpose of the book or the study is to identify what is the main challenges might be in the future and how they can be overcome to the benefit of all concerned. This is the end of our discussion, but to end this, let me say this: travel before you run out of time. Thank you.